Yes, we're back with some more Game of fucking Thrones. Yeah, of course I'd have to talk about more about Game of Thrones. You think I would leave this series for anything? No, of course I wouldn't. Now, here's the thing though with you guys, like, because I got a lot of comments saying like, should I start reviewing like all the other stuff that's come out? You know, we have the two early episodes. I decided to stay with the weekly track and, wait as long as, because most people aren't actually going to have these episodes out. Some people are just going to watch it by the TV. So I feel like it could be a dick move to like have an episode I'd say, oh yeah, by the way, this episode was really cool because this character died or that happened. So, I think I'm going to actually just keep up with the weekly. And besides, like, I would have like a month of like Game of Thrones waiting to like wait. And I can't do that. I can't. Mind you, I'm really struggling. I had to actually delete the files themselves so I wouldn't actually be tempted to watch the other episodes. But regardless, still, it was still pretty sick. So this episode had like quite an interesting thing, like mainly bringing back Arya. Like she's like actually back into the story now. It was like, okay, I was actually expecting her to be in the start of the story, like of the first episode, but no, she actually came in and she was actually going to the House of Black and White, and not too much advancement with her. Like we had like she was throughout the entire city, which I'm not gonna lie, that looked like the fucking final valley from fucking Naruto with the whole big statue just there and shit. I was like, okay, this city looks fucking amazing. And why is like Pantheon from League of Legends guarding the fucking city? That looks insanely fucking sick. Just there, like fucking like barely on between those two fucking rocks. I'm like, that is a sick fucking city. And I want to live there. That looks like a fucking cool ass city. And we see like it just looks so fucking cool because like when we saw throughout this one, it's like finding her, she was like even like three fucking people trying to like fuck with her, and then that weird old dude came out and it turns out he was one of those fucking like shape-shifting motherfuckers that can transform, and it's like, so it looks like Arya is now about to learn from this motherfucker and like discover a lot more few things from it. And remember like last time she was like, oh yeah, like I made my decision not to go with you, but now I've kind of changed my mind, so it's kind of weird with that, so I'm very curious. Not to mention Brienne finding Sansa Stark alongside with like Littlefinger and refuses her aid. Like she really does not trust anyone anymore. And mind you, like you got Littlefinger by your fucking side, so that's not really too much just to be going down. And like even the motherfucker, like she got fucking angry, like try to like slash their horses and all that, just trying to slow them down and shit. And it's like regardless of what, like Brienne actually decided that I'm gonna protect her, even though the two girls refused to help, like both Hardy and her. It's like no, I'm gonna protect these fucking girls no matter fucking what I can. Like although Arya is a little bit more harder to protect, like Sansa's more defenseless, especially with like she owned like how many of fucking Littlefinger's like forces, just like that. It's like I feel really bad for like a fucking squire. It's just like he got fucking owned just doing nothing by a fucking horse. I'm like, oh Jesus. One that I was actually really curious about in this episode, and I'm surprised that they actually came back to it, was the Martell family. We really haven't. They were like the family out for everyone that really didn't have that much focus throughout the series. I think they're definitely the one that hasn't had the most focus, and we start focusing more on Doran Martell, who's actually the brother of Oberyn, and her fucking wife is extremely pissed about what happened to him and saying like, oh, he got fucked up by the mountain and like, I want revenge for her. And he's like, no, those are the rules. You gotta affect him. He's like, no, fucking my sand snakes will go fucking in and fuck off these motherfuckers. I'm like, they honestly, the Lannisters cannot just catch a fucking break right now. They honestly can't. They are seriously fucked at the moment. Everyone wants their head. The whole fucking place is in ruins because of everything that's happened with Tywin. Like every fucking guy who just wants that fucking throne right now. It's like you can't fuck with him. It's like I really think that they're gonna have a shitty time. Not to mention as well having the shit dealing with the wall as well. Like everyone's trying to vote for a new fucking guy right now, and it's like, oh, by the way, yeah, we're gonna vote for fucking Jon Snow because like Jon Snow is a fucking boss, which is like, well, obviously you're gonna go with that because Jon Snow is a fucking badass. And it's like, yeah. Not to mention as well, like from what we had, like all of them going down, like because I think honestly the weakest part of this story probably was kind of like Cersei just being there, say, oh, by the way, I'm just commanding all you motherfuckers just to do this, and then I liked how like even our uncle's like, I'm not standing for this shit, like I really not am standing for this, like fuck this. And one of the other disappointment, but I'm kind of understandable that they really didn't focus on it. It was like definitely Tyrion's kind of story, which is like, oh, by the way, we're still traveling, so yeah, there you go. Like, which I still know that's all filler. So I guess they're in their ways like, yeah, we're not gonna do too much with Tyrion throughout these bits. You're gonna let him know. Although all that stuff is pretty much just like filler that isn't, part of the actual main story from what I know. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna give you a little insights of like what he's been doing and make some fucking cracking some jokes and shit. But it's just so you don't forget about him. So it's a kind of clever way of saying like, oh, by the way, this character's still doing something, you know, this is what he's up to whilst this is all happening. But even still, it's like, you're going to show something to Tyrion, that'd be something interesting. If not, don't show at all, like, pretty much, like. And really with Daenerys, like, Daenerys seems like she's now about to have her own fucking, like, whole kingdom just, like, crumble upon her because of the whole giant fuck up that happened, like, with that one person killing. It's like, you know, are people, you know, like arresting like one of the prisoners that tried to like, you know, kill all the slaves and shit. And it's like, you know, this guy, from what we know, and I don't really know a lot of Daenerys' people, like I really don't know like any of the kind of leaders and all that speakers, because like, let's be honest, Daenerys' fucking people out of everyone, they're like the least interesting out of all of them. To be honest, like Daenerys hasn't had her main role really till like mainly in the later seasons. She really wasn't something at the start of the season, but now that she's like definitely started to grow out, I kind of want to focus a lot more on her character, and I hope this season really does that with her. I really want to focus more on that one, like Daenerys' side of the story, because a lot of people I've seen from, especially friends, like said that, you know, out of all the stories, like Daenerys has been the weakest one, but it's like I find her kind of really interesting. Find like she's like a new like sort of leader, and she's like still coming to terms and dealing with power and stuff like that. I really find that interesting. Not to mention as well her dragon fucking returning at the end. It's like seemingly kind of wanted to return to its mother, but at the same time was like, no, fuck you. It's like it was kind of interesting, but yeah, when they killed that fucking harpy, it's like, you know, this is the Lord, we're gonna fucking kill you. But like, regardless of what, like the fucking people were like, no, no, like, you know, don't kill her, like, don't kill him. And that's when the people changed. It's like, yo, go fuck him. Like as they killed that motherfucker, they're like throwing stones at her and shit. I was like, oh wow, like. I honestly thought, I think it looked at the end that Cersei really wanted to do it, but then as well that would show like she's being weak by like not for all the other ones. So it's like, yeah, you pissed off everyone else on the city, but it's like regardless of still, it's like, yeah, that really wasn't your decision to kill that motherfucker. That really wasn't your choice. But yeah, overall it was an interesting episode. I liked the return a little bit more than this one. I still think this was a good episode. I think it's like a 7.5 out of 10. I did enjoy it, but it's like a lot of there are interesting things with Daenerys' politics going on. But other than that, yeah, I think it's 7.5 to with this episode. It was a good one, but yeah, some parts were a little bit slow and like a little bit dragged, I feel, in this one. But let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this episode of Game of Thrones. But that's all from me, so thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.